and welcome to LaRosa Reads. I'm Denise LaRosa, and today I'm going to share all of the books that I read in September. Let's talk books. September was an okay month, reading-wise. I can't complain. I can't say that it was out of this world amazing, but it also wasn't mediocre. So I'm going to share with you these books. I would be curious to know if you've read them, if you're interested in reading any of them. At the conclusion of this video, definitely let's chat about them, because some of them I need to unpack with some people. So here we go. Jasmine Guillory has just put a smile on my face with the Wedding Date series, and I had 2 more books left to read in this 6-book series, and I did just that in the month of September. The 5th book in the series is titled Party of Two, and this couple definitely wasn't my favorite couple out of the Wedding Date series. It was okay, and maybe I should just tell you what was going on and let you decide too. So we've got Alexa Monroe's big sister, Olivia, who is a lawyer. She decides to return to the West Coast, where she's from, and move to Los Angeles to start her own law firm with one of her best lawyer friends, and runs into Max Powell at a hotel bar. And he happens to be the California U.S. Senator, an eligible bachelor who Olivia just didn't recognize, which I think is far-fetched. This couple hits it off right away. So there wasn't a big build-up to this romance. They were definitely feeling each other, and then they were feeling up on each other pretty quickly. So that was kind of refreshing. I mean, sometimes I like a build-up, but I also just want them to get to the point. We know they're going to get together. But these 2 individuals separately, outside of the couple, were just not it for me. Olivia, who is supposed to be the successful attorney, was so basic as far as her common sense is concerned. She was just oh my God, we're gonna be out in public. What do couples out in public do whenever one of the people is well known? How should I act? Oh my gosh, somebody from the media saw us and called me. They called my law firm. This is so weird. What do I say? And I'm how the heck are you an attorney if you don't understand and don't have enough common sense to figure this out? So she already was working my nerves from the beginning, and continued to. And Max, they kept saying he was hot and he's attractive, but they weren't describing his, you know how it is in romance novels, right? You can say in real life, looks aren't everything, but we need visuals, right? We need, as readers, to be able to visualize these characters to make it believable. You can't just tell me, this guy's hot. Okay, what does that mean? What makes him attractive? So I didn't really get a feel for what this dude looked like. And look at the cover. You're not going to find out from looking at the cover either. So this was probably my least favorite couple out of the series. They figure things out. They find their way. Yay, good for them. And then there was the second ending. I love this book, and it was so hard for me to believe that this was a debut novel. I mean, Michelle Hoffman did her thing with this book. Now, I speak about this book in great detail in the latest LaRosa Girls video that discusses our September reads. I encourage you to hop over to that video whenever you get the chance and listen to me discuss it, because I go in great detail with the synopsis, because I was not even in the middle of the book. I had 10-15% left. And so I was able to just tell it all without giving it away. Just take a look at that. What I will say is we have this piano competition on this TV show, very similar to The Voice. We have 2 pianists coming from 2 different generations, have 2 different lived experiences and life stories, and 2 different connections to music. And they're reconnecting to themselves and reconnecting with music through this competition. And there's fun, there's funny characters, there's a little comedy of errors vibe. It's such an emotionally satisfying read. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It was a sweet surprise indeed. My audiobook listen for the month, one of 2 audiobook listens, was The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. If you don't know this story, this real story, you need to hop on Google. You need to check out this book from the library, download it, do what you need to do to educate yourself. Henrietta Lacks is a Black woman who ended up being diagnosed with cancer many years ago. I believe it was in the 1940s. Forgive me if I have the wrong decade. Fast forward to the 21st century, and we are still using her cells, known as HeLa cells, to further medical research, to further medicine, make advances in medicine. And if it were not for her immortal cells, we would not be where we are as a society. Lives have been saved. Advances have been made in the medical field. That sounds great. But what's horrible, what is disgusting, is that Henrietta Lacks' family have not benefited from this. They have lived very, very, very poorly in every sense of the word, financially, health-wise, emotionally, and it has just been utterly disgusting and completely unfair to them. And there is some news that's out there recently in the news. The family has made news with the settlement. But to learn about Henrietta Lacks, the woman, and to learn about her family through these narratives, this deep work that the author Rebecca Skloot did in building relationships, genuinely building relationships with these family members to uncover this story, to really bring this woman's life to the forefront, was just nothing short of incredible. It was a fascinating read. You've got to check it out. It's still living rent-free in my mind, and probably will for as long as I can live, because it is that powerful. And I was ready to complete the wedding date series with While We Were Dating, the 6th book in the series. In this book, we are exploring the romance between Theo's brother Ben, who is an agent for a marketing agency, and his latest client, a famous actress by the name of Anna. So Ben is a typical bachelor. We've come across Ben in several books, one book for sure, in this series. And I mean, he is a ladies' man and makes no apologies for it. And so for him to be swept away by this actress wasn't quite a surprise, but we get to see another side to Ben, the gentleman side, and it is so sweet. I feel like he stole the show with this book. Like his character was definitely the star. The chemistry between these two is immediate. So they meet because Ben's marketing agency is trying to get this, portfolio or this job of being the marketing agency for a cell phone company and their commercial. And he ends up being the one that leads this campaign, and Anna is the star of the campaign. So she is the figure in the commercial. And they just hit it off right away, and it is really fun. This was a slow romance in the sense that they didn't just hop into the bedroom. It was like relationship building. They were really like starting off as friends with a little bit of attraction. And it was really nice to see, or to read about, I should say. Then the romance takes this interesting turn where Anna is trying to get casted in this movie that's coming out that she thinks can just do wonders for her career. She was already nominated for an Oscar, and she's trying to get back to the Oscars. And she's single. She and her manager know that if she's seen with a lover, it could boost attention for her, which then could make her marketable. And so she asked Ben to pretend that they're dating and in the public, because they were kind of doing things on the low, not taking it too seriously. And I just felt like, ew, Anna, like, you're kind of like foul for this. Like the way she started treating him like a prop, it was not cool. So she kind of got on my nerves, but they were a fun couple. I enjoyed the book. Jasmine Guillory delivered. There were crossover characters. It was a fun time. So I can say I successfully finished this series and I recommend it to you. It is a delight. All right, 4 more books to go. The next book I read is Amazing Grace. This was a debut novel for Fran Littlewood, and it takes place in London. Grace Adams is a 45-year-old woman who is just feeling 45 in every sense of the word. I'm in my 40s, so that's what attracted me to this book, because I'm like, yeah, I could relate to this woman in some ways. Not all the ways, but some. So she's got this 16-year-old daughter who is being very spicy and prickly and just, doing some wild things. She and her husband are in the midst of a divorce. She is just kind of looking back on her life. She's had to make a lot of sacrifices in her life. She has not received a lot of love in her life, from her mother to how she ended up with her husband. And so she's questioning herself and the choices she's made. She's trying to figure this life out. Meanwhile, her body is going through that perimenopause phase. So how can she figure herself out when her body's doing things and feels like she's a stranger to her own body? It was very emotional. It had a twist in the middle. I felt like even though the book was shorter, it just kind of dragged. And it dragged because we didn't get to know a lot about the characters. Everything was pretty surface level. And I felt like if we knew more about not just Grace, but like Grace's mother, if we knew more about her soon-to-be ex-husband, her daughter, if we knew more about these characters before the present day, because it had a triple timeline. It just jumped back and forth so much, but I wanted a deep dive into these characters. I feel like I could have appreciated what was happening more. So it was a 3-star read for me. I, could have done without it, but I don't regret reading it. This book may look familiar to you regulars over at LaRosa Reads. If you watched my bookish quiz video, you will know that this is the book that was the result of me taking that quiz. And I was shocked. I was like, what? This doesn't sound like my kind of thing. But I was intrigued. Intrigued enough to check it out from the library. We have The Merry Dredgers, written by Jeremy C. Shipp. Oh my lordy. I'm clutching the pearls. I don't know what the heck I read, but I know that I thoroughly enjoyed it. So we've got 2 sisters. One sister is she does princess birthday parties for a living while also doing pet sitting. So she's got this eclectic life. Her sister also has been living an eclectic life. She struggled with drug addiction, and now she is just exploring life and going here, going there, and then she'll occasionally reach out to her sister Serafina to let her know where she is and what she's doing. Well, F reaches out to Serafina to say, I'm a member of this group. It's not a cult, but Serafina knows it's a cult, and it sounds like her sister needs help. So she's like, I think I'm going to try to find out where my sister is, who these people are, and rescue her from this cult. Well, an accident happens to F, and that rushes and pushes things along as far as Serafina trying to figure out where was she, where was her sister, what was her sister up to. And the only way that Serafina can do this is by joining the cult. She joins the cult, and its location, its headquarters, is at an abandoned amusement park that's super creepy, super weird. The people are weird. It's I keep thinking of the Doors song, people are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked. Okay, never mind. No, I need to keep that song in because that's exactly the song I kept hearing that could have been their anthem. So I'm not going to say any more. The ending was really interesting. It was an interesting read, and I don't regret it. I don't know. I just can't stop smiling because it was a wild ride. And I'm grateful that I took the quiz because I definitely would have never picked up this book if it hadn't been for that quiz. So you guys may want to check out that video and take the quiz yourself. You might have a fun read. Speaking of strange, the strange reads just kept going. From the Merry Dredgers to Terrace Story. Okay, A. my love bug. Her book club from day one has really pushed me and taken me out of my comfort zone with reads that I would typically pick up. She forces me to get books like this. Terrace Story, wow. I don't, where do I start? Okay, so we have Annie and we have Stephanie. They work together, okay? Like in cubicles, that kind of gig. And Stephanie comes over to Annie's house. Annie is married to Edward and has a little baby named Rose. Whenever Stephanie comes to their tiny apartment and she opens their closet door, on the other side is a magical terrace that is gorgeous. And they all hang out at this terrace. They have a great time at this terrace. This terrace is a form of escapism from their daily lives. Stephanie, it turns out, has had this gift all of her life. This gift and ability to change spaces. Make them smaller, make them bigger, create unimagined spaces, make them imaginable. This can cause a lot of events to happen in people's lives. I can't really say much else because it gets complicated, yet very interesting. It was a quick read, it was even though there were so many layers and it was so complex, I found myself being able to move along. And for that reason, I am fascinated. I encourage you guys to go to A. Marie's Book Club's Instagram page because A. Marie interviews the author Hillary Letcher, I believe is her last name. And so they really talk about this book and the concept of space, the idea of space at length. And I think that's the best next step I can give you. I don't think I could do this book justice by just sharing my thoughts about it. I will say that I learned something about myself. And isn't that what reading should be about? And what I learned about myself with this book is that I am very dependent upon space and time. When this book challenged the traditional ideas of space and time, I felt very uncomfortable. It almost had you feeling like you were on something. I don't know how else to describe it. So for example, two characters would be like, we're at this funeral. We don't know whose funeral this is. What year is it? I don't know. Where are we going next? I don't know. Let's just go for a walk. Oh, I see people. They're talking. I don't know what time it is. Oh, well, I know that's not a good way to describe it. It was way more complicated yet fluid and beautiful in the language that she used. But these people, the way they were talking, whenever the author took out words to describe spaces and words to describe times and timeline, it was freaky. You realize how much we as human beings depend on space and time to survive and to feel balanced and grounded. It was fascinating. Oh my gosh. I highly recommend it if you want to push yourself and think outside of the norm. It's a great read. So check it out. Okay, my time here is up. What were you up to in September? I would love to know, for real, you guys. When you're telling me about all your reads, it just makes my heart smile. So please hop over to those comments, chat it up. And in the meantime, I hope you're reading some good books. Bye.